TV, the king of all digital TV broadcasting. We provide our listeners with a reliable, educative, informative, and entertaining news. Our next program is health exclusive. Happy viewing. Don't forget to subscribe this station. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum viewers. I am Yakubu Bello Diaw, the presenter of the program Health Exclusive. The program is produced weekly every Saturday at 6 p.m. on Tariq Digital Television to educate and inform the public on major health challenges of the nation and the entire world. During the program, we invite scholars and professionals of proven reputation and academic excellence from the society to come and share with us from their wealth of experience on topical health predicaments precariously bedeviling our nation. The topic of our program this weekend is Onchocerciasis in Nigeria, an emerging endemic, Kano, a case study. Our guests for today's event is Dr. Abdullahi Yahaya. He is currently a senior lecturer from the Department of Biology, Kano University of Science and Technology, Coast. He is a clinical parasitologist by profession. He was one time head of Department of Biology, Coast. Similarly, he had dutifully served the university as Deputy Dean Students Affairs. He is currently serving as Deputy Director, Linkages and Affiliations. He is a member of professional bodies, organizations, which include Parasitology and Public Health Society of Nigeria, World Peace Prayer Society, International Society for Infectious Diseases, et al. Doctor, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Sir, let's begin with your full biography, because I know our viewers over there would like knowing more about you.
Good afternoon, viewers. As he rightly said, my name is Dr. Abdullahi Yahaya. I was born in July 14, 1971, and I attended my primary education from 1976 to 1982, where I obtained the primary school leaving certificate. From there, I proceeded to the JSS Government Teachers College, Key, where I did my JSS from 1982 to 1980, from 1983 to 1985. From there, I proceeded to popular Old River College, Kano, where I did my secondary school, or I obtained my secondary school certificate from 1985 to 1988. From there, I proceeded to College of Art and Science, Kano, where I did my IJMB for 2 years, from 1990, from 1988 to 1990. From there, I proceeded to University of Maiduguri, Borno State, where I obtained my BSc in zoology. From there, I proceeded to Cairo University, Kano, where I obtained my master's degree in Applied Parasitology. From there, I went for my PhD at ATBU Lochi, where I obtained my PhD in Applied Parasitology. From there, right now I'm working with the parasitology unit of Department of Biology at the University of Sussex as a senior lecturer.
That's great. Thank you so much for the brief introduction. Now, Doctor, as you know, the word onchocerciasis seems very technical, and I think it will be very, very difficult for the layman to understand precisely what onchocerciasis means. So could you please tell us what onchocerciasis is?
You see, onchocerciasis is a disease that is caused by a filarial nematode worm, and it is normally causing a lot of serious havoc to the general public, where it is endemic. That is just in a nutshell, and it's otherwise not referred to as river blindness. It's either you call it river blindness or onchocerciasis. And this river blindness is the name river blindness is brought about by the name because the vector.
No, we're going to that. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. So now we would like to know the epidemiology of the disease in terms of the cause, the parasite, and the vector.
Like I rightly said, it is caused by nematode filarial worm, which we call Onchocerciasis. And the parasite, that is the parasite, is caused by the parasite Onchocerciasis. It's a filarial worm of nematode origin, and parasite normally is transmitted by a vector known as the carrier of the parasite to the host. So the carrier in here we call it a vector, which is Psalmodium damnosum. Sometimes in English they call it black flies, very tiny black fly that is normally breathing in the river, in the fast flowing water body, probably rivers, streams, and others. As long as it is fast flowing, that is where the vector black flies normally breeds, and that is why even the name river blindness come into being, because the black flies breeds normally in fast flowing water. For example, the river. That is why the name river blindness or onchocerciasis.
So it's like you've just talked on the vector. So what about the parasite and then the cause? We said the cause is the black fly.
No, you see, that is why, that is the transmission. When you say parasite, it is the cause of the disease. It's the parasite that causes the disease. The vector is a different thing entirely. The vector carries the disease to the humans. So we have vectors, we have the parasite, then we have the host.
Okay, so could we know the name of the causative agent, organism, and then the parasite? For the vector you mentioned, black fly.
Yes. So the causative agent or the pathogen that causes all the problems, that causes the disease, is Onchocerciasis. Yes, that is Onchocerciasis. Yes, that is the parasite.
Okay,
that is the parasite.
Okay.
So the causative agent, we call it a parasite.
Okay, so the causative agent is also the parasite.
It's also the parasite.
Then what about then the black fly?
The black fly is the transmitting black fly, transmitting flies that transmit the parasite from the it transmit the parasite, that is the Onchocerciasis, to the human.
So could you please give us an illustration on how the transmission takes place? That is from the vector.
I mean the transmission side.
The transmission side.
Okay, now normally the parasite is transmitted, like I said, the vector, and you see it's when. First of all, is when the vector, before you get transmission, you have to get a bite from the vector. So the vector normally takes it's an insect that take blood meal from the host, like human beings. When it comes to biting, it has to bite the human beings, just like the mosquito. They bite the human beings, transmit the parasite, the Onchocerciasis, inside the host, the humans. Then they suck blood in return by the black fly. That is Psalmodium damnosum. So it does the transmission cycle. There is a bite, then there is an injection of this Onchocerciasis parasite, the parasite, onto the human host. Then the black flies, in return suck the blood as it is injecting the parasite, Onchocerciasis bulbulus. At the same time, it is sucking the blood. Okay, for the breeding of the, for the egg development. Yes.
Thank you so much. Now, could you please talk on the geographical distribution of the disease?
Yes, actually worldwide, you normally found, like I said, wherever you find a fast-flowing water body, the streams, the river, and so on, you find Onchocerciasis bulbulus or Onchocerciasis there, okay, or the black flies. So you have to have the breeding mechanism, breeding habits, breeding black flies, breeding suitable breeding place of the vector. That is the black fly before you now get the disease. Okay, well, wherever you have a black fly breeding in such areas, you have the disease because that is the transmission factor there. So now you see the areas we normally find them worldwide. We find them normally in Central and South America, like the Venezuela, Costa Rica, Colombia. Okay, those are areas we find Onchocerciasis. Now, when you come down to Africa, we have West African sub-region. They have heavy rivers there. That is why also you get fast-moving water. Yes, and normally in Yemen, you also find that in Arabian Peninsula. In Yemen, for example, we find Onchocerciasis there.
Okay, so do we say this Onchocerciasis is prevalent in tropical and also temperate regions, because you made the main portion of America, and I believe North America is more or less of a temperate area, while places like Brazil, West Africa, tropical areas.
Yes.
So
we would not really say it's. Let's not put the geographical location as tropical and temperate, but you should know that the breeding site matters.
Okay.
When you have fast-flowing water, you have this breeding irrespective of
temperature.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. Next, as the saying goes, prevention is better than cure. So, what are the preventive measures that can be used to stem out this disease?
You see, I would have loved to mention before prevention. But let's see whether we can see what is the manifestation. If you have the disease, let's see from the beginning. I'm sorry. Before we now talk about prevention and control, let's see what are the symptoms that when you have this disease, they will manifest in you. I don't know whether I should go ahead.
Go ahead.
Please, you see the what we normally refer to as symptoms, we say clinical manifestations. So now, the first sign you see when you have this type of disease, river blindness or onchocerciasis, we normally see the first clinical symptom is itching, intense itching, not ordinary itching by maybe insects. We have skin itching. You have itching, and not only itching. This type of itching is not just itching, then you don't just scratch your skin and that's all. No, this one is intense itching. That means you itch deeply inside your skin. You rub your fingers deeply within your skin. That is the reason why itching is the first manifestation, because there is an illicit reaction when the black fly bites. When they are about to bite, they make a hole, then they transmit the Onchocerciasis bulbulus parasite because it stays in the dermal region. Okay, so when it bites, that reaction, but from the biting and the skin contact, that is what is bringing the itching. And the itching, sometimes they don't even call it intense itching. Sometimes they call it pruritus because it's intense. Yes, that is the first clinical sign. Then the second one is nodules, movable nodules. Not only, we have different types of nodules, but this time around it's a movable. When you have nodules now, you can just move it. When you just push your finger, it can be moved within the dermal layer. Okay, you just move it like that. And these nodules contain both the male and female worm of the parasite, the Onchocerciasis bulbulus, which are entangled in masses. So you have a lot of male and female like entangled together within a nodule. Yes, within a nodule. So we have plenty of Onchocerciasis, both male and female worms within the nodule. So when you incise the nodule, you see that you have a lot of them coming out. The adult.
But they are usually in pairs.
They are in pairs. Yes, that is why they are adults. So you normally find the adults in nodules. Yes, in nodules. While the smaller larvae, you find them in you call it microfilaria. The adult we call them macro, while the smaller one, which is microfilaria. Yes, which is it normally goes inside the dermal layer. You can also, research has shown that we can also find the microfilaria, which is the most dangerous one. You can find them in the blood, and you can find them in the vaginal fluids. You can find them in cerebrospinal fluid and other lymphatic fluids. Yes, and that is the second manifestation. Now, the other striking manifestation of this very particular parasite, disease, you normally find leopard skin. Leopard skin is a kind of pigmentation where you have loss of melanin, and you find it. The reason why they say leopard because it's spotty. You find that black spots or whitish spot on the skin of humans. That is one of the striking features of the disease. The nodules and this leopard skin. It's just like the way you see leopard skin with patches. Okay, and this is due as a result of the death of the macrofilaria. Okay, when it stays long, the death of macrofilaria brought about the loss of melanin pigment within the skin. Pigmentation. Yes, that is the second one. Now we have another one, the third one. We have another one, the fourth one, which is sometimes they call lizard skin. You see somebody with very dry, scaly skin. Yes, so it's one of the manifestations of the disease. Very dry, and very thick. Yeah, very thick skin, very dry. When you touch it, it's like the skin is dry, has dried up. It's one of the clinical manifestations. Now sometimes you find that we have another lymphatic features of the disease, like the lymphadenopathy, hanging groin. You see the groin will be hanging just by the side of the groin. You see it will be like an outgrowth coming out, very heavy outgrowth coming out from the side of the groin. Okay, that is one. Then we have another one. We have the end. It doesn't cause death actually, but at the end of the day, you see that the parasite tend to move to the eye region because it's nutritive. Okay, it's nutritive. That is why it is called river then blindness. River is, like I told you, is from the breathing side of the vector, while the blindness is the end, terminal result of when the disease has stayed in the body for a very long time. We call it long-standing infection of the disease. When it stays for a very long time in the body, it now goes into the eye and feed on the retina, block the retina, and causes blindness. Yes, these are just a few very important manifestations of the disease.
Thank you very much. I will continue the interview from where my co-presenter stopped. Now, Doctor, the next question is, what are the preventive measures of this onchocerciasis?
Yes, thank you very much. You see, like I said, I have talked about the vector of the disease that I said it breeds on the fast running water, and you see, most of the endemic areas we have is occupationally related disease. And you find out that, you see, when I say fast running water, like the river, the streams, you find out that human beings tend to go for activities there, like washing, fishing, and sometimes irrigation farming very close to the river.
Yes.
Okay, so you see, it's like occupational disease. You see, for you to prevent the biting of the black fly that breeds in this water, you need to have some. You see, the black fly, Psalmodium damnosin, is one funny insect that is just like the way you see the way the mosquito behaves. Mosquito likes very dark, stagnant water, not clean water, while the black flies always like a very clean environment, well oxygenated water. Fast running water is always, of course, oxygenated. So it's related to the occupational activity of the vector. But the reason why I'm saying this is because, you see, when you have occupational, river or water related activity, that means we have the biting of the vector that transmit the parasite. Then we have the human activity. So like farming, fishing, other water related activity like washing in the river, irrigation. Okay, so one has to come in contact with the black flies. So for you to prevent black flies, just like the mosquitoes likes dark clothes, so this one, for you to prevent it, you need to wear white clothes when you want to farm, and use to cover all your body parts, exposed body. Don't expose your body when you know that you are in an area endemic for the black flies because of the biting. So when you wear white clothes, they will normally repel the black flies, just like the opposite of mosquito. That is one of the preventive measures. So that is one. You wear white clothes to cover the exposed areas when you are farming or undergoing or the fishing activity or irrigation activity in your farm. Okay, that is number one. Then even the timing of those water-related activities, the timing matters, because normally from the records it is found out that the black fly normally breeds. The high activity, biting activity or biting period of the black fly is normally in the morning hours, then in the evening hours. And you see our farmers normally go to farm
Very early.
Yeah, very early. Okay, so those are the timing. You need to time. Maybe the farmer and or the fisherman need to really time the high activity period of the vector of the black flies. So when you time your activity, you go and spend your you go and do your work in your farm, or you fish, you do your fishing activity, then or you do your other water related activity in those areas. Then you leave the place before they even have the high biting period of the black flies. Like in the evening, late in the evening, then you leave your farm late, very early in the morning, very early in the evening. But you see, all those kind of things will really affect the output of the farmer and the fishermen as well. But I will talk about the effects later on. Okay, thank you very much. Those are the preventive measures.
I see. So what about control mechanism? How is it going to be controlled?
You see that there is something we call the community-directed treatment with Ivermectin, CDTI. And when you want to control, the community has to get involved. The C is for the community, CDTI, community-directed treatment with Ivermectin. The Ivermectin is the drug for treatment, but we have not come to discuss treatment.
Yes.
But this is the control measures. They normally involve the community themselves. So themselves, when the drug comes, the drug is supposed to be massively distributed to the endemic in the endemic areas. But who has to distribute it? The community has to get involved. So it's the community members that are supposed to take everything in their own hands, and they distribute the drug because of the stigma and acceptance of the drug that you want to deliver. So So you use their own people from the community and distribute and do the mass distribution. So that is why they say community-directed treatment. So community, we have the community health workers. You train them first, then you now leave it for them to distribute the drug because they know their people, they know the community better than the people coming from maybe the state and federal government.
So you are saying when the community is adequately involved
Yes.
in control measures, the measures will be
Yes.
quite effective.
Yes, very, very effective. And it has been reckoned that this CDTI is very effective in control and elimination of onchocerciasis and many other things.
What about the area of how do we affect the diagnosis?
Yes, so you see when you have when a person is contracted with the disease, the first thing they do is there's something we call physical examination by the medical doctors. They examine the symptoms of the disease first. So we have some symptoms for very striking features that you can see for the disease. Now the first one that I said earlier on, I say itching, but itching is not really a definite physical diagnosis for the disease, for this very particular disease, because itching can be caused by some insects, the scabies and things like that.
Yes.
But for this one, what you normally do is we have some striking clinical symptoms or manifestation of this very particular disease, like the nodules I was talking about. The nodules is one of the striking features of this, and we normally incise the nodules. Whenever you see a patient with this onchocerciasis coming out with this very particular striking features of nodules, which we sometimes refer to as onchocerciasis. Onchocerciasis is a nodule, movable nodules. So whenever somebody is presented with these nodules, movable nodules, they now take the nodules and incise it like a mini surgery. They cut the nodules, they incise it, and they see the adult onchocerciasis, the male and female, entangled in masses. So that is one of the diagnostic feature. Then the second one is the Mazzotti reaction. Now Mazzotti reaction is just like giving a drug, then wait for the adverse effects of the drug. Then when you give the drug, a particular drug like the Ivermectin, which I'm sure we have not come to treatment, we have a very effective drug, broad spectrum, which is Ivermectin. We just give the drug to the patient, and when it reacts, then you have, that is one of the diagnoses. Now we have another very effective, very effective, it's an old method but very effective, where you take Biosphere, the skin sample, okay, which we call the Biosphere Biopsy, okay, so you take the skin sample and you just take 2 millimeter bite of skin from the calf region and the shoulder region, okay, just 2 millimeter bite. You take with an equipment they call ponioscleral punch, and you just cut the skin 2 millimeter bite. Then you now observe under microscope. You put normal saline, okay, physiological saline, because the reason why you are putting saline is because it's in the dermal layer, and this onchocerciasis bulbosa, like I rightly said before, it is embedded in the dermal region, like dermal region, and in the dermal region of the skin we have the salivary gland. The sweat, yes. It contains salt. So now when you diagnose, when you cut 2 millimeter bite, you just put it inside the microtiter plates. Then you now put the physiological saline, which is salty water. Then you see the onchocerciasis bulbosa, the parasite, coming out from the skin that you cut. Yes, then you see it coming out. Then you now take the liquid and put under a microscope, and under the slide, and you observe under the microscope. And you see the microflaria we are talking about. Yes, that is another one. Then the very this is the popular method. Now we have some immunodiagnosis method. Okay, we have a lot of them. That you can use immune system to diagnose the disease. Then we have the DEC, diethyl carbamazine patch test. So those are the diagnostic procedures for onchocerciasis.
That's very difficult. Logically, after diagnosis, you go for treatment. So,
drugs. Now, the most effective drug or let me say, from in the olden days, they normally use, drug development is one thing entirely.
Yes.
Because you see, you have a disease, then you continue testing some drugs. Okay, even right now, we have some drugs in the pipeline. But in the olden days, what they normally use is they use suramine. It's a chemical, but it's very toxic. So because of the toxicity, they stop using the suramine because it has an adverse effect on the skin. People react to different chemicals. Yes, so there's a reaction on the skin. It causes a lot of rashes and cancer and things like that. So the WHO stopped using suramine. It is banned. It is not in use now because of the toxicity of the chemical. And that is one. So the most effective now drug that is in use is called Ivermectin, and currently is a drug that is agreed and worldwide. It is used for mass distribution, very effective. Not only effective on onchocerciasis, it's also very actually effective as an anti-worm because it's a broad spectrum. It can kill a lot of worms. Very, very effective. Within no time, it will kill the drugs. It's more effective than the flagellum. Yes, so it's broad spectrum, non-toxic. Okay, it's very effective to use the ivermectin. Now, the next drug is, and like I told you, there are drugs in the pipeline for development. Now, they are undergoing a lot of development. Now, the ivermectin is strictly for the treatment of the killing of the microfilariae. That means the young worm. It's targeted only for the young worm, not the adult. The adult produces the young worm.
That's right.
Yes, but this time around, there is one drug that is currently being used to target the adult worm, which is moxidectin. So moxidectin is for the adult worm, while ivermectin is for the young worm, the microfilariae. So these are the drugs for action. For currently is ivermectin actually, and moxidectin has been effective also for the killing of the adult.
Taking into account your analysis pertaining to the types of people mostly affected, those in irrigation, those that have occupation related to water. So this disease naturally must have effect on the socio-economic activities. What are these socio-economic activities and its vector?
Yes. Let me start with the vector because it's the transmitting agent. Now you see the vector black fly is a very tiny black fly, a diphtheria black fly. You see the fly is on its own has a drastic socio-economic effect on the endemic areas. You see when you have the black flies, the property is of this black fly, it can bite. The biting is very painful, even more than that of mosquito. Very painful bite and a very fast fly. It goes into the skin immediately before you know it. It has bitten you very painfully and it has fly away. So you see the nuisance of the biting effect of this black fly has a lot of effects on the population, on the endemic areas where we have this endemicity of this black fly. Because when you have nuisance effect of the black fly, fierce, we call it fierce biting activity of the black fly, you have to know that. You see, when a farmer goes to the farm and he's always constantly being bitten by these black flies, you see, the farmer, it will affect his capacity. The timing, the timing of his farming will get reduced. The output of the products, farming product will reduce. Timing, even the time he spent on the farm, it will be reduced. So drastically, you see that the economy will suffer.
Certainly.
Because timing is when the farmer is used to spend time 4 hours or 5 hours in the farm to do his farming for effective output. You find out that because of the nuisance effect of the black fly, because it's always biting, so the timing will reduce. The economy, of course, will reduce because the output is reducing. That is one. You see, even the school pupils that are studying in classes in endemic areas, when there's always biting activity of these black flies from morning hours, it affects even the schooling. So you now find people in the class. So that is another thing. So even the fishing, so you see fishing time is reduced, farming time is reduced. So that is why I say economy also reduced. Because the output is reducing. So that is for the vector only. Now when we come to the disease itself, the onchocerciasis, the clinical manifestation. Even the clinical manifestation has an effect. You find out that socioeconomic, social effect. I've talked about the vector that causes the economic effect. Now I'm talking of the manifestation, the symptoms of the disease. The symptom of the disease causes, like, let me give you an example. The nodules has some social stigma. You see, you find people with nodules. People will say, a lot of nodules on the normally on the face, maybe on the forehead, on the different part of the skin, like on the just below the chest region. You see there is a stigma there. There's a stigma maybe when it comes to even marriage. Somebody will say, okay, because that guy is that man has nodules, he will not like marrying such person. That is for the nodule. Now we have leopard skin, which is clear depigmentation of the skin. You see patches on the skin of man. It's also can cause social stigma. It can cause a social stigma, and we have other effects also, like blindness. Take a look at the blindness itself on its own. When the household head is blind, definitely the economy is finished. It's finished. Disastrous for the economy of that endemic area. Yes. And one other important thing. You see all these effects, both the effects of the black flies and the effects of the clinical symptoms. In an endemic area, you will tend to see that people will now abandon riverine, highly rich, fertile land into another unfertile areas, because we have seen a lot of examples in the West Africa sub-region where we have endemic areas being abandoned and going back to the less fertile land because of the disease, onchocerciasis. So it has a very socio-economic effect. Yes.
So you have dwelled extensively on this topic. You have done justice to the topic. Now, what sort of recommendations to stakeholders involved, the community, the government, and healthcare professionals will offer in order that the society will be insulated from this phenomenon?
First of all, I would like to call on the government to have this enlightenment campaign, massive enlightenment campaign because of the effect of this black flies. Let me go down, because as the title of the discussion goes, because we are now zeroing down on my immediate community, Kano State. You see, in Kano we have areas that are endemic of onchocerciasis. For example, the southern part of the Kano South Senatorial District and Kano North Senatorial District. But Kano South Senatorial District seems to be more endemic for this particular disease. And we find out that it is found in normally remote rural areas. And you find that the people there are not aware of at all of the disease. So that is the first thing. So creating awareness for the disease. What is the disease? All those epidemiology disease, the people in endemic areas need to know what is the disease is all about, and the dangers of this disease, and the preventive measures, all the things that we discussed, the biological treatment, everything they're supposed to be aware of it. So first of all, is enlightenment campaign supposed to be done by the government, and it's supposed to. There are a lot of ways for enlightenment campaign, either by radio program, jingles, and things like that. Okay, in the endemic areas, they need to know what is the problem of this disease, because from the researches we carried out, it seems that there is more to be done by the government to enlighten the people on the disease. control measures and everything about the disease. That is one. Now, the NGOs, they are trying a lot on this very particular. We have a lot of NGOs that are involved in the site savers, the National Onchocerciasis Control Program, all those ones. I know they are doing a lot, but they need to do more need to be done on this very particular disease, especially in Kano. It's a very serious one, and since it's I would say it is a neglected disease, but government need to come to the rescue of these people, because it seems it has been neglected and the disease is still endemic in some of these areas, rural remote areas, especially in the Kano sub-community. They need to do more on this. And one other thing, we have the popular drug now. I'm suggesting the government need to continue with the massive drug distribution of this drug to a much remote rural areas. I know they have done much, but much need to be done to really take this drug to where it is needed. Yes, where it is needed, because there are some areas that are now endemic for the disease. And I don't know whether the government has suspended the distribution, but they need to activate it to distribute these drugs to the needy ones in the rural areas.
Viewers, we have been with Doctor has talked extensively on the issue. He has treated all the ramifications we have raised in this interview. I believe this is a source of very useful information to not just the people who are resident within the affected areas, but to everyone who has the opportunity to watch this program. We have come to the end of the program. Thank you very much. And off next when we invite you on our invitation.
Absolutely.
On behalf of the management and the entire staff of Third Grade Digital Television, producer Abdullahi Yahaya, I wish you all a happy weekend. And stay tuned for a fresh episode. Same time, same station next week.